Hello and welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast, and I am your host, Samuel. In this podcast, I interview top medical sales reps and leading medical sales executives across the entire country. And it doesn't matter what medical sales industry, from medical device to pharmaceutical to genetic testing to diagnostic lab, you name it. You will learn how to either break into the industry, be a top 5% performer within your role in sales, or climb the corporate ladder. Welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. This is Samuel, your host, and today we have with us a very interesting guest. He goes by the name of Johnny Caffaro. Now, what's fascinating about Johnny is he has found a way to combine the fashion industry with medical sales. More specifically, medical device sales in his case. And he's been able to grow both as brands on the LinkedIn platform. So basically through social media. You know, here at Evolve Your Success, that is something that we teach. We work with organizations and we help sales teams and individual sales reps grow their brands as influencers on the LinkedIn platform. And it's something we strongly believe in. Johnny is the epitome of this. He's done this masterfully. And again, he's been able to tie two brands together, fashion and medical device sales, two different companies, all working as one, all gaining attention and leverage and developing relationships and developing revenue. It's an amazing thing. But I am not going to spoil it with my excitement around it and his excitement around it and share any more. You're going to need to listen to the interview for that. But as always, thank you for listening to the Medical Sales Podcast, and we really hope you enjoy this interview. It's going to be a two-part interview, and you're about to hear part one. Hey, how we doing today?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. Today we have Johnny Caffaro. And you know what, Johnny? I'm not going to say anymore. Why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Yeah, no, my name is Johnny Caffaro, and I'm an executive for United Orthopedics. I'm the director of sales for the West. I feel like I'm a connector, innovator, fashion, not icon, just fashion enthusiast. Caffaro shoes. In the medical field, I feel like fashion and medical don't really clash. And so now I'm trying to make it go together cohesively. Man, I'm just excited to be here. I really appreciate it.
Okay, so right off the bat, you're already piquing people's interest here because you're talking about combining medicine with fashion. So yes. let's get a little understanding about where you originated from. I mean, how did you? Right now, what's your current role within medical sales?
Yeah, so I'm the director of sales West for United Orthopedics. So I manage the whole West Coast.
Okay, and United Orthopedics. Tell us a little bit about that company, just so we know.
Yeah, United Orthopedics. It's a Taiwanese company based out of Taiwan. We've been around for about 30 years. We started east because we're Taiwanese, and we worked our way west. Well, most companies started west and worked their way east. So our thing is we're trying to get our brand out here in the US and be able to get United's name out there. I mean, we've got a full line. We got the knee, hip, revision, hinge, oncology. We got the whole portfolio. The thing that we're trying to do is just get our branding out there. And I feel like using social media has been a huge avenue for me. And that's how you and I connected. And so that's United Orthopedic kind of in a little nutshell. The cool thing about our company is that we're also 100% integrated. So we don't outsource a single thing. If something gets back ordered or timelines change, we can shift our focus on what product is needed and get it out to you right away. So there's no holes. And so that's a huge benefit for us.
That is awesome. How did you get into this space, into medical sales?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was actually born with a hip disease. So I have Legg-Perthes disease. And so it's not enough blood supply went to the femoral head. And so the femoral head would die. And so I had to wear braces on my legs, like Forrest Gump from kindergarten to second grade. And so then later on in my years, I had to get 3 hip replacements. 2 of them failed. And so the third one. And so I'm like, man, I am passionate about my own hips. And I'm passionate about like helping people. So like, what can I do to be able to, so I looked in and started researching and started doing all the things I can do to get into the medical field. And so that's where I started getting to the medical field, was my own hips.
Wow. Did this start back in grade school? Did this start in college? When did you say, I'm going to look into what profession I can actually get into?
Yeah, it was actually after, it was in college. It was after my first hip replacement when it failed. I'm like, there's got to be some answers. There's got to be some solutions, like what's going on. So I started doing all my research and be like, wow, like this is incredible. There is a job that like is medical that you can be able to do knee and hip replacements and be able to help people. And I mean, I was like blown away. I'm like, all right, how do I get in?
Yeah.
How do I get in? And like, that's the
Right.
hardest thing, right?
Yeah, no, that's a bear. What one thing we always talk about in medical sales is if you have an underlying passion for why you even want to get into the industry, it just drives you, and you're ultimately, almost
Yeah.
inevitably, going to find a position and going to get in. But you're right. How do you get in? So tell us, how did you get in? How did you make it happen?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of trial by error. I mean, my dad was a football coach at BYU, and a lot of the striker ex-managers are football players. And so I'm like, Dad, give me their contacts. I'm going to reach out to them. So I started getting interviews, started doing the ride-alongs. I had to do a Gallup test, passed the Gallup test, and then didn't hear anything. Just like stopped, ghosted completely. I'm like, dang it, like what happened? So I heard that one of the hiring managers was going to be in California. And so I packed my car, kind of went crazy ex stalker and drove down to California and be like, hey man, like I'm actually here in town. I'd love to meet with you. Is there any chance? And like 2 days go by, I don't hear a word. I'm like, wow, this was all for nothing. He texts me and says, hey man, if you'd like to come to the beach, we can have a little chat. Just come in shorts and tank top and we'll hang out and chat. My dad always instilled in me, you only get one chance to make a first impression. So I showed up in a suit and tie on the beach, just sweating. But like he was so impressed that the next day I got the job offer for Stryker Orthopedics.
Wow. See, talk about getting things.
Blew my mind, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so the cool thing is right after me, he had another interview with someone that had 7 years of medical experience. And he was wearing tank tops and shorts and just was trying to go hang out on the beach with the hiring manager.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Wow. See, and people need to hear that, right? Because I think people are under the impression that when it comes to this industry in medical sales, if you don't have experience, there's no way in. And that's not the reality.
No, I mean, the experience that I showed him was that I was never going to take a no. And I showed him that I'm always going to have that like consistency, that drive, that motivation. And you're going to have that in the medical sales because so many doctors and so many people are going to tell you no, they're not switching or they're not going to do that. But I look at as a no, as like, okay, what's the next objective that they're going to say that I can get around? And like, I look at it as a game.
Yep. The first no is an invitation. The first no is
exactly.
Come on. Okay. So you're director of sales West. So, I mean, that's a pretty significant position.
Yep.
And you worked your way into that position. So talk to us about, your career trajectory in that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I started off as a global product manager for United Orthopedics. I mean, it was a cool thing at LinkedIn. Again, I got reached out by a recruiter named Mark Peterson, solid guy. And he's just like, hey, man, I see your skill set. I think you'd do great at this company. They're about ready to like do great things. So I got on global product manager and like, I can do marketing really well. I was a hip product manager at another company, but like my passion is like being in the field and networking and expanding and growing. So then they put me as a product sales specialist. And so then I was onboarding new surgeons and new distributors and teaching them and training them and showing them how to sell our product because it's different to sell everybody's product a different way.
Right.
And so then like I've had great success in that. There's like, hey man, like could you translate that to the West and be able to manage a territory and be able to grow it? I'm like, yeah, give me the opportunity and I'll do it. And so the last 2 years I've been growing it. I mean, even during a pandemic year, I mean, I've had double-digit growth over the last 2 years. And so it's been a great ride and a lot of responsibility, but it's been fun.
That's amazing. You highlighted something that even over the pandemic, you were able to do it. And then you also highlighted that social media was a big part of that. Tell us a little bit about that. Here with our company, we're big on social media. We're big on what it can do in healthcare sales. Tell us your experience with how you've been able to really utilize healthcare sales to make a difference.
I mean, the thing is with your guys' company, Evolve Your Success is huge because like I said, I wanted to know how to get into the field and I did not know any way. Like what do I need to view Medi? Do I need to go on like health, like something like I don't know, and be able to, you have a company to be able to help people get into the field and be able to show them avenues and be able to like, don't do this, like reach out to this person, or grow your brand on LinkedIn and show people how to do it in a social way that like, hey, I like that person. What that person's got, it's got drive, tenacity. I'm going to look at them in a different way instead of doing it the traditional way, going on the website. So what you have, Evolve Success, is you're helping people open the doors. And when you and I connected, I'm like, hey, I'm kind of doing the same thing because I want to be able to create a brand for myself in a sense, but also with the company that I'm working for, because it goes hand in hand. And that's where I started like posting and started like telling my personal story about my hips and like telling them like, hey, it's okay, don't give up. But it's also relating with life, like don't give up on job interviews and don't give up on all that. And so I feel like social media has been a huge platform. And I feel like you and I spoke earlier saying medical field is so far behind in the social aspect, is that if you have somebody that's like going that avenue and like have tackled it, why not go there when there's been success? With Evolve Your Success is huge for everybody. So I'm going on there. I want to look onto it. I want to be able to pick your brain even more and be able to, hey, what can you do to help me? Because I want to keep growing.
No, I get it. No, I mean, but you've done an amazing job with your brand, Johnny. I think people don't really understand what a sales rep, and let's just talk about just a sales professional, any sales professional in any industry, especially healthcare, what they can do and the kind of leverage they can create with a social media platform.
Absolutely.
Talk to us a little bit about what does that actually look like when you started really branding yourself and getting out there. How did your customers, how did other providers start saying, you know what, we're noticing you, we want to talk to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's putting yourself out there, and a lot of people don't like putting themselves out there, right? And so once I started putting myself out there, the cool thing is people started reaching out like, hey, it looks like you have a good product. I've been looking at your stuff. This is great. Or, hey, listen, I see that you have shoes. Like, is there something that you can talk to me about? And so like, there's so many different avenues that you can take it, but it's important to be able to put yourself out there, because then people are going to know kind of who you are in a sense, because you're not going to just be a piece of paper on a resume or a piece of paper or a picture. And so you have to network at the same time. So like I was saying, I was at a conference, I tagged a lot of people, I tagged a lot of different companies, and that's kind of like taboo. You don't do that. You don't walk in other people's booths at conferences. You just don't. But the cool thing is, after I shared it, everybody reshared it from those companies, and like it was like a collaboration. And then people are like, okay, this person like gets it, he's networking and he's bringing people along the way. I think that's what's really helped me a lot, is helping others and bringing them into the network.
So you're almost breaking the taboo. I mean, you're showing people that, look, when you look at this from a collaborative effort, when we look at this more of a sharing value across the board, we don't have to hold this red tape and say, oh, you know what, companies can't cross-pollinate.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. I mean, there's so like the cool thing is with how you start branding yourself and putting other companies together, it's like you're going to get a better reputation. You're going to get better well known. And then your surgeons are going to know like, hey, this person can be able to rep this product, or I'm going to call this CEO and tell him that this rep needs it because he's built a good rapport. And I think by doing that and bringing that along, it's so much stronger than doing it by yourself.
Right. I love it. Awesome. So one thing you said earlier is that you've combined medicine. We just talked about medical sales with fashion. I'm going to be honest, I haven't heard that. So I want to know, you have a shoe line, and that's where the fashion comes in. Tell us about that, and tell us how you're bringing the two different industries. Fashion and medical sales. You got to love that combination. Make sure you check out CaffaroShoes.com. This is the company that Johnny's leading. They make the most amazing shoes. Everyone's getting them. Surgeons are getting them. Sales reps are getting them. I got myself some. So make sure you check out CaffaroShoes.com and get yourself some as well. The link's going to be right there in the show notes. So you'll be able to find that link in the show notes for this episode. You're going to see it on part 1, and you're going to see it on next week's episode as well. Again, that's Caffaro Shoes, Caffaro shoes.com, and check them out. I love Johnny's breakdown on how he got into the industry, because it's so important how you don't take no for an answer, and how he did more than what was expected. You know, if you're someone listening to this and you're thinking to yourself, I want to put myself into Johnny's position. I want to set myself up to get a position. Then you need to visit evolveyoursuccess.com, click on Attain a Medical Sales Role, and follow the prompts, fill out our application, and have a conversation with our organization, with me or with someone from our team, and let's talk about how we can get you a position in the medical sales space, whether that be medical device sales, pharmaceutical sales, biotech sales, medical equipment sales. There's a fit there for you. If you're listening to this podcast and you're not already in the space and you're not leading the space, and you're someone that wants to get in, there's an opportunity for you. The reality is, which one should it be? If you know a little bit about the space, you might feel like you should be in a specific one. And even if you know nothing, there is a fit for you, and we can help you find what it is, and we can help you actually get the position. You know, one thing that we talked about in this episode was the reality of what creating a social media presence can do for you and your business. This applies not just to people that want to get in the industry. As you can see with Johnny, this applies very much to people that are in the industry. COVID did a lot for us in that it showed us that we have to be able to think a little differently to do a lot of the same things. The same thing is we have to generate revenue for our companies. We have to get the business. We have these great products, these great devices, these great drugs, providers, surgeons, administrators need to hear about all the latest developments. But when there's no access, what do? You have to think differently. COVID showed us that there are ways, and now we can take full advantage of them, and we should be. And healthcare is no excuse. So many other industries have seen the value. Healthcare is no excuse. And if you're someone out there and you're listening to this and you're saying, you know what, this makes a lot of sense. I've been seeing it on social media. I've seen a few reps do it here and there. I've heard people talk about it, but I really don't know what they're doing or how they're doing it. Then again, you need to visit evolveyoursuccess.com, click on Improve Sales Performance, and take a look at our LinkedIn training. We always try to bring you guests that are going to impact your day, whether you're someone that wants to get into the industry, someone that's in the industry, or someone that's leading the industry. We bring you guests that are going to impact your day, help you think differently, and provide some value to your life. So make sure you tune in next week for part 2 with Johnny Caffaro. He gets deep into what he's been doing on this platform with combining fashion and combining medical sales. And again, it's amazing. And if you're someone that wants to get into the industry, make sure you check out evolveyoursuccess.com. If you're someone that wants to improve your sales performance and do it through social media also, make sure you go to evolveyoursuccess.com. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And remember, I have a couple programs that show you exactly how to break into the medical sales industry, become a top-performing medical sales professional, and also how to masterfully navigate your career to executive level leadership. Check out these programs and learn more at evolveyoursuccess.com. Stay tuned for more awesome content with amazing interviews.